without having an imam in front of us. There's a seer, there's a clear secret in this. These are the best of creation after Rasulullah. They were selected to be his companions. So they were not ordinary people. They were not ordinary people. They all took the bayat with Abu Bakr Siddiq. He wasn't saying he was a prophet. He wasn't taking it, but they understood that you need this imam. Just like every time we make our salat, there's an imam. The imam is making shafa'ah for the whole ummah, for the whole jannah. The whole jannah. So these things, again, it requires study. It requires ilm. It requires taking the knowledge from the right places. Now, we're not here, astaghfirullah, to convince anyone of these things. But I think we will be remiss if we didn't understand the validity of it and how it came down. The nuzul, it was descended. So when Sayyidina Jibril came, والسلام, he asked these three questions. You think he just thought of them on the way? You thought he made it up? He was given these questions to ask Rasulullah والسلام, so that the ummah would learn, so that the ummah would know what is required. And ihsan, to behave beautifully in front of Allah. This is the perfection of character. And all of this is based on what Rasulullah والسلام, said, did, and instructed his ummah to do. The polishing of the heart, everything becomes corroded, the heart as well. And the polish of the heart is La ilaha illallah. Or in another narration, it is the dhikr of Allah. Allah says, فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرْكُمْ. Remember me, and I will remember you. That's one of the practices of the Sufis. Just one. Just one. And when we hear people who don't know about the soul, they think they're jumping around. They may do certain things like that in Damascus or places in Istanbul, but there is a method to it, and it is grounded and rooted in the ilm. Don't the angels circumambulate the throne of Allah with dhikr? They do. La ilaha illallah. Don't we circumambulate the Baytullah? And don't we say dhikr when we're doing it? So that's one of the practices. Bismillah. Zuhud is another practice. Detachment from all and everything ghayrullah, other than Allah. Submission, taslima, tawakkul, trust in Allah Ta'ala. Mahabba of Allah Ta'ala, love. Rasulullah ﷺ said, you will be with Ma'a, you'll be with the one you love. Someone came to him and said, Ya Rasulullah, I love you more than anything else. And he said, well, you will be with the one you love. Love is a big component of the service. But we're not talking about flower child or flower children love. We're talking about the love that was described and displayed by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You remember Sayyidina Umar came to Rasulullah. Ya Rasulullah, I love you more than anything else. Do you love me more than yourself? Ya Umar. Omar, listen to this. This is Omar, Sayyidina Omar al-Faruq. He said, he was honest. No, Ya Rasulullah, I do not love you more than I love myself. Then your iman is incomplete. Your iman is incomplete if you don't love me more than anything else, more than yourself. He was honest. Every one of us will say, yes, we love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But if we're honest, when we say we love him more than we love ourselves. In the hadith, it doesn't tell you how much time took place, how much time elapsed. This is one of my favorite hadith. But something took place. He reflected. And then he came back and said, Ya Rasulullah, I love you more than I love myself. I love you more than anything else. And he said, Al-an, now your faith is complete. You ever wonder what happened inside of Sayyidina Umar? He was already with the beloved of Allah. But he was honest. No, I don't love you more than myself. And the hadith goes on, you have to love more than your wealth, more than your health, more than your parents, more than your children. All of that. All of that. And until that happens, your faith is still weak. So some is also, this is what brings us that love, the mahabba of the beloved of Allah. This is what we're just talking about it's like talking about the ocean. We're trying to describe the ocean. And, we can describe what, color it is, the waves, the tides, when it comes in, but we don't know the depths of the ocean. And you don't really know what it is until you get in it. Right now, we're just talking about a drop from that ocean, a drop from the ocean of Sidi Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that's what tasawwuf is about. It's the knowledge of the process of transmuting blameworthy qualities into praiseworthy qualities. In fact, Hujjatul Islam, Imam Ghazali, rahimahullah, in one of his books, maybe his Ihya, I can't remember myself, but he said, تخلق أسماء Allah. Put on the asma of Allah. Put on these asma. That is also one of the practices of the tasawwuf. Once you remove the blameworthy, you have the praiseworthy here. So you become merciful. You become loving. You become helpful. You become sattar. You hide the faults of others. So these qualities will be awakened in you. Because Allah says, Azza wa Jal, that He taught Adam, our father, all of the names. All of the names. The names of everything. And all of that is also in us. Everything that is hidden. It is deep inside the core of the heart. That's why it needs a murabbi. You need help. You have to get the miftah to open that heart. You can try to do it on your own, and maybe Allah will bless you. Maybe Allah Azza wa Jalla will make you like Uwais. Uwais, who never met Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But he loved him. He loved him to the point where Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam was saying, I smell a beautiful fragrance coming from Yemen. And the one in Yemen is close to me, and the one that's close to me is in Yemen. That's what this path is about. That path is awakening this ishq, divine love for your Rabb, and that of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. If you love Allah, then you must follow Rasulullah. That's what he says. If you love, tell them, say this to them, Ya Muhammad. If you love me, then follow me. And then Allah will love you, and then He will forgive your sins. All in just the obedience. The Mashiach, somebody said, why do we need Mashiach? We don't need them. Well, they are the Warithu Anbiya. They inherit. They're here so that this Nur, what they call the Nur Muhammadi in some circles, will continually flow. The Warithu Anbiya. And in another hadith, he says, there will always be someone from my ummah that will raise his hands and Allah will answer. Always will be blessed ones like that. And another place there will always be a renewer, a mujaddid, every 100, every beginning of a new era. So this ummah is blessed. This ummah is blessed with this type of tarbiyah that no other deen has. This deen has produced awliya, many known and many unknown. It has produced great luminaries based on following the best of creation. The Mashiach, they inherit directly from him. This ilm is not invented. It is not a bid'ah. It is not an innovation. How could it be an innovation when it came with Sayyidina Jibreel? It is a saying in Tasawwuf, especially among the people of Tariqah, there is no Tariqah without Sharia. Meaning that you cannot be a Ahlul Sufiya if you're not making your salah. If your aqidah is off. You must have it. You must have it. It's a great saying of Imam Malik, who mentions that, the one who practiced Sharia without Tariqah, what happens to them? And the one who practiced Tariqah without Sharia, what happens to them? That one is definitely wrong. And the great luminaries, I think our Imam here, one of the, we spoke about Sayyidina Sidi Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani. We call him Al-Gawf. He is an excellent example of both wings, Sharia and Haqiqah. He was a faqih. These people are not loosey-goosey. Even the one that the Western people love. There's one great mystic everyone loves, Jalaluddin Rumi, with the Susilah. But many don't know that he was also a faqih. He's in the book, the Fuqaha, the Hanafiya. He was a great sheikh too. He weren't loose. So again, you are obliged to know this theme. And to speak about something and to deny it, we'll have to answer for that one that day. Especially when we don't know. That's why Abdul Qadir Jilani, he said, do not speak until Allah creates your lisan, your tongue. Meaning, if you don't have permission, be quiet. We're not like our brothers, Yahudi brothers and sisters, who in their synagogues, everyone speaks. Everyone talking, this one, that. And the Ummah of Rasulullah, those who know speak. And those who don't know, they listen. That's how it is. It doesn't mean that you have to listen. You can ask questions. All that's how they ask questions. They constantly question Rasulullah. That's how all this ilm came to us. Because he never was alone. If you want to follow the beloved sunnah of the Prophet, from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, you can do that. You can do everything. Walking, entering, exiting, putting on new clothes, going to the bathroom, everything. Being with family, neighbors. We have an excellent example. Fikum Rasulullah. Yes, he was with us, among us, of Rasulullah. So that is, we're getting caught up on the names. What's the saying? I don't know if Shakespeare arose by any other name, is still arose. Tasawwuf, take it away. You don't like this Tasawwuf. Take it away. It doesn't change what it is. It doesn't change that all of the ilm of the ulama and all the wisdom of the wise and all of the Gnostic knowledge of the Arifin all came from Sayyidina Rasulullah. All of it. Without him, we wouldn't know anything. Without him, we wouldn't know about the heavens. We wouldn't know about what happens in hell. We wouldn't know any of these things. It's all from his blessed sunnah and the adab Muhammadi. Adab Muhammadi is the behavior, the decorum of Rasulullah. Being with him. Being with him. You cannot be with your Rabb if you cannot be with the Rasul. He teaches you. He taught his ashab how to be with their Lord. Same thing. This is the continuation of the Mashiach in Tariqah, the method. It's a method. It is not a sect. It is not something other than Islam. It is a method of approach. Or we may say, I like this word, mashrad, a style. Like, look at all of us. We have different style, maybe how we have our beard, when we wear our imamat or a taj. But we're all one ummah. The expression may be different. That's why all of the imams, all of them are correct. It was the expression of what they took from the deen. Our Maliki brothers, they say Allah Akbar, it's Hanafi under the name of Shafi. It's just the expression. The goal is the same. The goal is all the same. and it is to get close to your Rabb. Tasawwuf is not the goal. It is a means. It is a wasila. It is an approach to one's Rabb. Allah says, seek a wasila to Him. Inshallah. Allah, 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 Allah. Bismillah, thumma istiqam. I don't know I couldn't gauge what the understanding was prior. I did have the opportunity to listen to our Imam, and I was very happy that you had Abdul Qadir Jilani with the Sasira, which his book was Fatul Rabbani. A beautiful book. These are the great lights of this ummah. People like Abdul Qadir Jilani, Ahmed Rifai, Ibrahim al-Dasuki, Ahmed al-Badawi, Abu Hassan al-Shadili. We can go on. And our own Shaykh of our particular tariqah, which is the Kalimatiyya Jarahiyya, which is Hazrati Pir Nuruddin al-Jarahi. I'll simplify his secret. You may also ask, why so many different paths? The different paths are there to connect with your personality type, different expressions. For example, in Tariqa Malawiya, the artists, those who did calligraphy, those who were the khatat for the Quran, those who were poets, they all were attracted to that particular approach. If you were a scholar, a lot of times they were attached to the Naqshbandiyya. They would get the imams, they would get some of the scholars, they were attracted, all according to personality type. They're not different, it's just the approach is different. I don't know if it's time, but maybe we should open up for questions or thoughts. Or are there any questions so far? Bismillah.
When you said miftah, can you explain what miftah is when you were saying?
Miftah is the root of that is fataha, to key, to open. Miftah is the meme of that word. I'm not going to get into the Arabic, but the meme of miftah denotes reciprocity, meaning that there was something opening and there's an opener. Allah is ya fatahu. The miftah is something that you use to open, like they would say, the key to the door. For us, it's the key to our hearts is loving Rasulullah. It's the miftah to opening the path. As he said to our master Sayyidina Umar, your iman is incomplete if you do not love me more than you love yourself. So that is a level, and the terminology of tasawwuf, that would be called fana. Fana is losing yourself. You lose yourself in that of the beloved. Rasulullah, Habibullah, he was the beloved. Everyone loved him. So when you love someone, you lose your identity, so to speak. You are concerned with the thoughts and the desires of your beloved. You do what the beloved does. You like what the beloved likes. So that's what happened to the Ashab al-Kiram. They became lovers of the beloved. And that's how they attained such great character and great heights in Islam. That's why we still talk about them to this day, because of their love for Rasulullah. Thank you. Any other questions? Inshallah.
When we talk about love, yes, and like love is a term that you hear different, when you ask, do you love me more than you love yourself? Like it's almost like, like define love, and that's, because
I think I know what you're And that's how I like to start everything. With, first of all, we have a term, we need to define that term. We need to understand what that term is. And the term that is used in that particular hadith is mahabba. Mahabba. So the root of that word is hub. Hub also means a seed, something that's planted. So that seed was planted in the heart of Omar, and it grew. So love is when there's a hadith that is not accepted in the mainstream, but it is narrated, many of the scholars still narrate it for meaning, ma'ani, for the meaning of it. So I'm not saying this is sahih, that I love to be known, therefore I created creation. So some of the ulama of this science say that the creation, our creation, was out of love. So love is when if you can say I, it's not love. Love is like this. We heard it explained to a group of young children, and maybe they'll understand this as well. Imagine you're at lunch at school, and you have your favorite cake, right? Which may be German chocolate cake. And you love it, but you see that your classmate doesn't have anything, and you give it to your classmate. And as you're giving it to your classmate, he starts to eat it. You taste it. You feel better. And you feel better that your classmate is eating it. That's a taste of it. Love is also one of those things that you really cannot explain. It must be experienced. It's like trying to explain to you like honey or something that, and you've never tasted. You'll say, well, honey is brown, it's this, it's thick like molasses, it tastes sweet like sugar. It's still not honey. It's one of those things that you must experience. That's another term of the soul. It's called dhawq. Dhawq. Tasting. You have to taste it. Love is a quality of the human being. So you see that if we cannot really love, when we don't know what love is, we haven't truly become human yet. So this is what we're striving to become, human. That's why it was said to him, until you love me more than yourself. Think about it. Rasulullah, he's the best of creation. He's the best of creation. He is Al-Amin. He's trusted. We don't doubt anything that he says. But so if we don't understand that, we need to peel back the layers there. So your heart, that's something that got your attention there. We have to find out what this love is. And it is a process. And some call the tariqah or this suluk the path of love. So inshallah, we will all come to know and taste true love. I hope that helps somebody. It seems like there's more. Is it the second part to that, or we're just talking? Because again, I'm not a lecturer. We're brothers on this path.
It's like I think I get it. You know, just in
He should
terms
tell
of,
you that he just got married, so that's why.
Allah. Mabruk.
I mean, you know, like love, desire, you know, even like lust and how, you know, these things can be confused. And, you know, I don't know, I struggle with the word.
Okay. Well, here's some. You just got married, right?
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, mashallah. I've been married for 27, 28 years. So I'm going to give you some advice right now. This is it. You need nothing else. Okay? Here's the key. You must want what she wants, and she must want what you want. When you can do that, alas, it's okay. Yeah, I see you. I see the little spinner. So that's what you have children?
Yeah.
So you do anything for them. Anything. If you're hungry, you take food out and you give it. This is love. This is love. And you feel better if they're eating. If it's between you and your child eating, you wouldn't eat in front of them. No, you give and you will feel satisfied. And your heart will be nurtured and nourished by the fact that you're giving. More of that. This is where the adab comes in. These behaviors, they have an impact on the heart and the aql. And after a while, that shell will be cracked. The rust will be removed from the heart. And then once it's removed, then your heart will reflect divine asma. And love is one of those. Ya Wudud is the source of all love. So this is what we're striving to do. It's easy to talk about. It's another thing to do. It's very easy to talk about. You can say, you can talk about the Sufis and this, but it is hard, to do it. And one cannot do it on his own. You need a purifier. Indeed, the one who purifies it will be successful. If you examine that word more, it implies that you have help. Some of the ulama say that this Rasulullah, and I agree. We say in our chat, we bear witness, right? We bear witness that Allah is wahdahu la sharika lah, right? But we also bear witness that Muhammad is the Abd and the Rasul of our Rabb, Allah. But we haven't seen Rasulullah. And we say, I meant to. We bear witness to something, even in the law, the law of the land. If you say you saw something and you didn't, you are a lying witness. And therefore you will never be heard again. You perjure yourself. So again, this is about uniting what we say and what we experience in the heart. So, we can stop there. Have we witnessed any angels? But we say we are witnesses to this. Are we lying witnesses or are we truthful? So this is what we want. This is why they call it ma'rifah. This is this knowledge of knowing. We are trying to reconnect what was disconnected in the descent from our Rabb, the universe of souls, when he said, Alastu bi Rabbikum, and we said Bala, we all said Bala. We don't remember. People like Abdul Qadir Jilani, who he remembers in one of his talks, he remembers that place and that time when his soul said Bala. Indeed. So this is what we're trying. We're trying to reconnect what was disconnected with our descent when we came down from we were a soul and it descended and acquired all of the attributes and the material of the different realms until we became a physical body. So that's what we're trying to reconnect. And tasawwuf, tariqah, tasfiyatun nafs, it's the knowledge, the process, and the method for reconnecting to our Lord. Inshallah. Any other questions?
I know what you
Yes.
what you were saying about the food. Like when I see a homeless person and when they ask for money, I'd rather feed them.
Yes.
Because I know when I go home, I'm going home to a nice warm house and give Allah's mercy and eat a nice meal. But when I feed them, it makes me feel good inside.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah,
Alhamdulillah.
makes me feel good.
Allah increase you in that service, inshallah.
Can I ask a question, brother? What do you look forward to? Do you look forward to Ramadan and fasting, going without food and drink, all those permissible things? To the people who have no connection to Ramadan, like you have, that love that Allah bless you with, to them it looks like madness. You're just starving yourself. And you're not touching your wife. That's what it looked like to them. But Allah has given you a love. So to other people, we look kind of crazy. They be like, man, y'all. And we tell them, what, you just don't get it. That's love.
It's like Ramadan for me is the hope of like pleasing Allah.
That's a connection.
Some extra, like Ramadan. Yeah, that's a hope, to get like the blessings. Allah says that the fast is mine, like it's for him.
Yes.
So that's something different than anything else.
Yeah.
So you're trying to
That's why I
explain
look
that to
for-
people that don't practice Islam is hard.
I guess the other thing is the purification of the nafs. And I mean, me myself personally, I don't know. I guess I describe it as like desires that you have, and in a lot of cases, it's things that are it's ingrained in you, and a lot of it's not good.
Sure.
And like, I mean, I've experienced, some of the desires for certain things, the law, alhamdulillah, took certain things away. You know what I mean? Just, that's it. It's gone. But there's still a lot of things that you fight with. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I don't know. Like, I always kind of like, there's some things where it's like, do I always can recognize it? You see it, you recognize it, and you see it, and it's a struggle.
Yes.
And that,
That's why it's called nafs ammara. The ammara, there's a shadda there. Ammara, we know the word amr, order, command. The ammara means it commands and commands and commands. It doesn't stop. It's that thing that incites those lower desires in you. That's the thing that has to be purified. Allah speaks about different levels in the Quran. Nafsi Amara, Lawama, Mulhima, Radiya, Mardiya. They're all mentioned in the Quran. And those are stations or degrees. Darajat. They are degrees in the Suluk. So most of us, we are at the level of Lawama. Most of us. And that's the self that blames itself. Meaning we know it's right, we try, we do right, and we do wrong. We do right, we do wrong. And we blame ourselves for that. And it hurts. And the beloved of Allah said, alayhi salatu wasalam, remorse is tawbah. So we had that, but we keep going back. What we want to get to is a level of mutma'ina, that the nafs, or the part of the soul that is at rest. Meaning it's not perfected, but it is at rest. It has gained the upper hand on the nafsi amara, that part that commands you to do the wrong thing. That part that makes you, overindulge or whatever it may be.
that I found that like something that is helpful is let's just say it's going on right there, is to not look over there, look over there. I mean, if that makes sense, or to not be in certain environments, or like I'll always use the word trigger. You know what I mean? Where I could be watching something on television, or a song could come on, or a conversation could be taking place, with Muslims. You know what I mean? And
Sure.
something could be said that triggers that thing inside of me. That I don't know. It make I don't know.
Well, trigger, I understand trigger. I do understand that, and it is a process. Again, Abdul Qadir Jilani again, he says that when people find themselves in trouble, they first will try to solve the problem themselves. Maybe you know the mayor, maybe you know the city council person, you go to that person, or you know the imam, and you go to that person, and you exhaust all your resources, and then it doesn't work. Then that time said, "Oh, I'm gonna turn to Allah." Yeah. After he exhausted, he went to the creation, and now I'm gonna go to Allah as a job. And Abdul Qadir Jilani says, Rahimahullah, he says that at that point your dua is suspended until you correct that thing inside of you. Until you correct it. This is a form of shirk, hidden shirk. No one here will worship an idol. No one here will know right mind, but it's subtle. That's why Rasulullah said, fear for his community, this hidden shirk. So those type of things. Even our own will. You may think that you're doing things. You're good because you did it. You're knowledgeable because you acquired the ilm. You attain, another juz of Quran because you have the capacity. Allah is the Fa'il. He's the one that's doing all of this. He's the one who facilitates and he prevents. So we have to, again, this is another concept into Tasawwuf. Removing the ananiya, I did this, I did that, I'm. There's only one true I, and that's Allah. And that's part of the suluk. That's part of purification. It is a process. If you understood it now, then there will be no need for suluk. There will be no need for it. I think also the Imam had mentioned in this discourse about khalwa. Khalwa. Khalwa is seclusion, and then there's something that's similar to it, uzla. You know, so if some of us, if we were to enter Khalwa right now, we may lose our minds. Because then we'll be in there. We heard about some of our brothers and sisters in the penal colonies, where if they're going through isolation for too long, the akul, the mizan of the brain is kind of damaged. So you have to be prepared. A king only comes to a place that has been clean, a place that has been prepared. The heart has to be prepared for the holy descent of Allah, for the fade. Allah exists without a place. We also say that. But we're talking about these are technical terms. These are terms of dhawq, of tasting. So you have the qalb has to be prepared. That it has to be prepared through discipline, riyazah, dhikr, tasbih, awrad, other exercises that the chef can give you. They are experts in this field. We're all in the hospital. We're all in this hospital together. The chief surgeon is Rasulullah. Then there's other physicians, these awliya, the great ones, the luminaries of our deen. We cannot just do the surgery on our own. We have to take the advice of these beloved ones. If we do, then we may gain some ilm, we may gain some experience, but it's very risky. It's very risky. There's a few great autodidacts in Islam, in Islamic history, and for some reason, one of the great ones is fell in my. So I remember. No. They learned that this autodidact was self-taught. Forgive me, but he was a great one too. And one of the things with autodidacts, they also tend to go on the side of the azima, the strictness of a thing. For those with great ilm, big ilm, they also go on the side of rahmah, of mercy. And it doesn't mean be loose and light. Rahmah is constantly expanding. That's why Allah, He used this word for the womb of the mother, raham, because it expands, as she grows. That's how Allah's mercy is. It expands. It doesn't constrict Allah, it expands. And the more ilm that we have, the more that we can expand. But when we have little ilm, we're quick to make judgments. So what we're saying, we want to move from adat to ibadah. Adat is a habit, but habits are good. Children learn how to walk by repetition, by imitating, by listening to their parents. That's how we learn. We learn our ibadah, our salah, by imitating first. We're not tasting, but Abdul Qadir Jilani also said, we must move from adah to ibadah. So it has to move from habit to ibadah, to real worship. So many of us, we're just on ibadah, we're just on adah. It's a habit, that's good, because our limbs are protected. We want to taste, we want it to become real. It has to be real ibadah. And that's the process that we're talking about, we're trying to express here, inshallah. May Allah Ta'ala help us to come to love Him, to love Him.
Right.
I
Yes, Salaam alaikum.
mentioned something about there will be homeless people. You're establishing yourself in your, homeless person, you're building houses together, so to say, worship and things like that. And these houses that you're building taken away from you.
That's a beautiful question. This I heard this from both of my teachers. One, Chef Mohammed Al-Akili, and also my teacher and Chef Murshid Tosun Effendi. So we're talking about ma'rifah. So you only benefit from that which you understand, that which you know. So if you're doing good deeds, yes, Allah will give you much more than what you deserve. We're talking about the ma'rifah, knowing our Rabb. And if you do not know your Rabb, according to the scholars, and especially my teachers, and it can also be found in a book, it's in English, Irshad, which means guidance, by Sheikh Muzafir Effendi. It's in that book as well, and it's great treaty, that there will be homeless people because they will not know their Lord. In fact, there's also a hadith, and it may be in, I'm not certain, I think it's in Bukhari, forgive me, astaghfirullah if I made a mistake, if anyone knows exactly, please let me know afterwards. There will be a man, he will enter paradise, and Allah will give him the tajalli, he will show himself, and he will say, no, you are not my Rabb. Can you imagine this? No, you're not my Rabb. Because he made his own Rabb in his mind. He didn't know the reality. He didn't have ma'rifah of Allah Ta'ala. That's why we're here. Going back to the purpose of our creation, that Allah says He created jinn, khalaqal jinn wa insa illa liya'budun. He created jinn and men to they translated as to worship Him. Ibn Abbas, radiallahu anhu, we all know him. He was the cousin of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. Rasulullah made a dua for him that he would give him ilm, and he became one of the greatest mufassirin. He became one of the greatest people to explain the Quran. He said that the Yabudun is the Ya'rifun, to know him. That's the purpose of our creation, to know our Rabb. You're not here to not know him, to stay ignorant. Because really, ilm helps you to facilitate your love, because you cannot love someone that you don't know. Learn the names of Allah, that's a start. Learn the asma of Allah. There's a beautiful hadith about that. He who learns the asma of Allah, the 99 plus 1 names of Allah, is guaranteed paradise. Hadith, right? Now we can't stop this. So if we're reading the hadith on our own, it's like, wow, I'll just do that, learn the, I got it, class, paradise. A parrot can learn. You can teach a parrot these names. So those who know said this learning here is really connecting with the Allah, where you become a Rahman. You become not the Rahman, your istidad, your capacity to be merciful. You know these names through your behavior. You know these names in your application, your adab. So just learn them. Anybody can just rattle off Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, Malik, Qudus, Salam, all the way to rattle off. Doesn't mean anything. How do you connect with the Ar-Rahman? How do you connect with Ya Hadi? Ya Satara, which is not one of the 99, but it is one of his names. How do we connect with him? So you must know your Rabb before you can love your Rabb. So that's how it works. We're here to gain this and this knowledge of him, not so we can rattle just facts and trivia and have Islamic trivia. Knowing him is so that we can come close to him, so that we can truly worship him. Those who have knowledge, those are the ones who have taqwa. I like the translate, they say consciousness, of awareness of Allah. That's a fear. Those who love him don't fear him. What they fear is losing that qurbiyah, that closeness. That's what they fear. You know, so inshallah, I hope that
Sheikh, if possible, could you elaborate a little bit more on how Rasulullah
Something.
was able to make his being a Muslim, or you know, just something along that vein, to just give us some more insight with
Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam is the best of creation. He is the sire of all the prophets, and we just recognize that Islam was Miraj, and he led all of the 124,000 prophets in Jerusalem and Salah. We must realize that when we're talking about him, it's very different. Most of what he explained and really explained is really for us to learn. You know, those who know say that he didn't have that. We know about the removing of the heart, and what was removed from that. This little dot that was his connection to this movement. So he was exempt, and most of all of the prophets, all of them are masters. So it's very different. He is an example. He is, and in him we have an excellent example, as Allah says. He was created with the highest morality. So by following that sunnah, that's how we do it. By following one that may have absorbed more of the sunnah than we have. That's why teachers are respected in Islam. You know, those who know are not like those who don't know. It's like that. It's not. And again, Allah says, listen to me, Astaghfirullah. In the hadith, he who knows himself, will know his Lord. Man arafa nafsahu, faqad arafa rabbahu. So it's really about knowing who you are. Once you know who you are, you also know who you're not. So this is the process. It cannot be done alone. And we're deluded to think that we can. I mean, this is the age, and it's been happening for the last 20 years of self-help. You can do anything you want, do anything to learn. And yes, we're intellectual people, we can learn, yes. But there's certain things that you have to take from the tongue and the mouth of the chef, a living chef. If it were not so, Allah could have just gave us the book. I said, no, he gave us the book and the hikmah, the wisdom, the law. A light has come to you. And scholars say the light is Rasulullah. His life is an example. Everything, that's what we're striving for. That's where all of the beauty of the ashab and all the scholars of our ummah, they took from that sunnah, that well, from his well. So this is the process. Recognizing that we have pride, recognize that we have jealousy, recognizing that we have these qualities that are inside, and we get these whisperings. It happens. Like again, everyone that looks like they're praying is not praying. You know what I mean? Outwardly, they're doing it perfectly. Inwardly, Allah knows what's happening. So, but this is to get rid of it is the process, the method. The process is taskiyah. That's because we look at the word zaki. Zaki means he's pure, innocent. Yuzaki, it was pure. Zaki, he was pure. He was cleansed. So we have to have that taskiyah. We have to have the agent to help polish that heart. And without that, we're on our own, and we don't want to be on our own for a blinking of an eye.
I got an online question when you're ready, Sheikh. Brother Kashif, he asked that you speak briefly, I guess, on Jabrut and Nasut. I know you don't want to get too.
What part of Jabrut have we tasted to talk about it? But I can talk about Nasut.
Okay.
Nasut is the realm of the human beings. This is where we are right here. This is the realm, this is the place where we start building, those houses in paradise by our good deeds here. But also, just doing good deeds. The good deeds we can be robbed of the benefit. Anytime we do something good, like, look at that. I did that. Look at me serving. Man, it's nice. And so you get something good, but then it's like you're giving with your right hand, you're taking with your left hand. So we want that which is done for Allah and His sake alone. When it's tainted with ananiya, ego, that I did something, we kind of lose some of that. Nasud is the realm of where tarbiyah takes place. This is the realm where we attempt to become true human beings. The word nas, some say that insan comes from to be close, to be intimate with Allah, unsiya. Some say it is nasiya, to be forgetful. I would, my humble opinion, Astaghfirullah, you can take it or leave it, but I think it is closer to nasiya, to be forgetful. The human being is forgetful. Allah is constantly reminding. That's why He's always giving these reminders. Remember when we did this. Remember when this happened. Remember when we took the children of Israel out of Egypt. Remember. Why is He constantly saying dhikr? The word dhikr is mentioned so many times in Quran because we are forgetful. We wouldn't have to be encouraged to remember if we didn't forget. That's why He's also saying, remember me and I will remember you. So, inshallah, we will remember.
Question, in the times that we live in, many people, when they hear this word tasawwuf, they have a concept about, flickering, like you said, flickering lights and flying on carpets and stuff they've never seen. Even to the point where some people will say that tasawwuf has no basis in Islam. So how, as we are, striving to purify our nafs, how do we counter these kind of these arguments?
It is hard to convince anyone, really. It's hard enough to convince our own self, and we're close to our own self. So what we can say is what the great luminaries of this deen have said. Ibn Taymiyyah, People love him. In Philadelphia, that I think they still refer to him as Sheikh al-Islam. Ibn Taymiyyah was not a person outside of Tasawwuf. So if they want to look, they can find it. It's there. We have Imam Junaid. We have Ibn Atta'illah. We have so many, Hassan al-Basri. We have all of the people. Imam Ali, Karamallahu wajhu. They just didn't use the term. But since Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, is the Shaykh al-Islam that people know, look into his works. He was against the people that were saying that they were Sufi, but not following, the Fara'id. He was against those people, and we are. You cannot have tariqah without Sharia. So I would say, study, sit with those who know, ask the questions, read. And if you have access to his great work, Majmu'ah, I think it's Majmu'ah, Ibn Taymiyyah, in his Majmu'ah, he mentions that he took the khirqa, the cloak from the Qadariyya tariqah, So I think we just have to really examine the word and look into what the word is. Again, I didn't start our talk off with that because, again, that's what you always hear about the word tasawwuf. Suf, saf, wool, and that is true. There is some connection to that. Ahlul Sufa, the people of the bench. These were the people that had, woolen, garments, and that was a sign of their zuhud, their detachment from the world. So, and that's, some say that's where they developed the term Sufiya. Others say it's because they were trying to purify their soul, their nafs. Some say because they were in the first saf, the first rows. But again, it was a reality without a name. Every Sufi, every real Sufi, every real tariqah has a connection back to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a silsila, or an isnad. So if you meet someone that's a sheikh, one, we should find out who's his sheikh, and who was his sheikh, and what what branch they, or are they self proclaimed. Anyone who calls himself sheikh or makes himself sheikh, you should stay far away from. So this is not, sheikh is not a maqam, it's a duty. Sheikh is not a maqam, it's a duty. So it's a matter of serving. When Allah wants you for something, He prepares you for it, inshallah.
Sure.
It's good night.
Assalamu alaikum. So as a, you have any advice for us as a community getting more engaged with just our, the people we have, our members, moving forward, like collectively as a group? Is there a suggestion on how we can, make this a normality or more common?
You're saying about tasawwuf.
Yeah.
I think by explaining more, talking more about it, having open dialogue about tasawwuf, what it is, the spirituality of Islam, and not to be afraid of. We're not talking about, again, flying in the air and all these other things. Miracles do happen. It is part of the aqidah. It's a part of our aqidah. It's part of the sunnah, to believe in the karama of the awliya. So that we have to start understanding. I think it's a good place to start the aqidah. And of course, there's the aqidah tahawi. It's very good to really review. Understanding what the wilaya is. What is this friendship, this wilaya with Allah? And in fact, Allah says that all the believers are awliya. So are we not awliya? Are we not friends? Are we not believers? Yes. But yes, so there's a flip side to that coin. This is what they call the amiyya, the common wilaya. The awliya like Abdul Qadir Jilani, Allah sanctified secret. We're talking about this elite wilayat. The elite wilayat. And it is possible. If Allah wants it for you, He can give it to you. If we're seeking that, Allah will increase you in that. Everything, the entire suluk is in Surah Al-Fatiha. Everything is in Surah Al-Fatiha. When you get to the part, iyaka, what does it mean? That means you're in front of someone. Iyaka, straight to you. Are we praying like that? When we say iyaka na'budu, it's you we worship. That means you know who your Rabb is. not just not a concept. This is vote. This is tasting. Yaka now, yaka now. We know who he is, we worship him, and we depend on him. We depend on him. We stick to him. We stick to him like one of the great imams, Fakhruddin Razi, and he said, explaining, a part of sort of that. He says just like if you have like a turkey drumstick or wing or something, you'll eat it, and then at the end you'll clean it, and there'll be a piece of meat sticking there. That piece is how we're supposed to stick to Allah. That piece of meat is sticking to him, and clinging to him. But it requires them. It requires us to know. And the more you know you're up, you will open your heart. You will purify your heart, and love will enter that. When love enters,
Sheikh.
yes,
Inshallah. Bismillah. Without going overly critical, but yet being observant for what you see. When it comes to, we see in the city you grew up in and, in close proximity and elsewhere, as far as Islam being so popular, with you being observant and noticing the difference between those who are given Islam, those who are not given the tools of tazkiyatul nafs, can you highlight that just a little bit, a little conversation, not to be overly critical, but the dangers of not teaching our children or enabling our children to be purified by Islam, but giving them, Arabic names, giving them all the cloaks of Islam. We see a lot of it. And we have a lot of fathers here with young children.
yes.
And a lot of us in this city, just so I'm sure you understand, we're caught between people who warn you against tasawwuf as something scary and alien to Islam, to the point in which you don't even dive into it and you leave your children without it. So I want to know about the dangers of leaving our children without these purification tools.
It's a heavy question. Without tasawwuf, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to truly assimilate the deen. Tariqah is the process of assimilating and absorbing the Sharia. With this, you begin to love what you're doing. It's not a task. Islam is not a religion of things to do and things not to do. It is a deen. It is deen. And it's the Millatu Ibrahim. And we're so disconnected from that. We're not tasting. We're like, again, this is an experience that I had very young. When I was a young person, I was making my prayers, but I wasn't tasting. I felt like I was on a deserted island. And like you put a message in a bottle and you throw it out there and hope that it gets to its destination. That's what happens when there's no irfan, where there's no ihsan, where there's no tasqiyah, there's no tarbiyah. You're just on your own, and it's just you're just putting it out there, hoping that it gets there. We need a purifier. We need someone that embodies that sunnah of Rasulullah, that living sunnah of Rasulullah, to share it with them. For us, they don't need preaching, they need witnessing. And that's witnessing the adab, because it's not what you say, it's what you do. Because most of the time when our children, they have difficulties, and for example, they go to the principal's office and parents are constantly saying, I don't know where they got this from. I did not teach them that. And oftentimes they may not, but it's their behaviors that is teaching. It's what they're doing and what they're not doing. We have to make them aware of it. We have to have knowledge, because knowledge is a protector. Without knowledge, we're going to stumble and we're going to fall. And we'll engage in acts and ibadah or things that we think are ibadah, and in fact they're not. And we have constantly people saying that it's bid'ah, right? Innovation. And in fact, do we really know what it is? Most of the traditional terms, innovation, came to matters of aqidah, not in matters of application. There's an axiom: a thing that helps you worship Allah is inherently good. If it brings you close to Allah, it's good. That thing is good. You can use that. And we know, we have heard the hadith, Sayyidina Umar, and he said, someone said that he was going to, he said, bid'ah, he said, this is a bid'ah hasanat. So we have to understand, I'm saying that we have to have understanding words, terminology, and when they're applied, what context they're being applied. So each science has their own technical term, but we cannot get around it without having ilm. You just can't get around it. You know, so we have to expose them to knowledge. And I'm not just talking about rote knowledge, because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he had a dua and said, "Oh Allah, protect me, save me from knowledge that is not useful." I mean, because it's a lot of people who know a lot of things. They're professors at Penn and Temple, they know plenty of hadith, but they don't know Allah. They know hadith, but they don't have iman billah. So they got knowledge, but not iman billah. So it's not just knowledge alone. We need the whole package. We need the whole package, inshallah. And I think first we have to expose our children. Well, first we have to expose ourselves to them. And most of the people here seem that they're very serious about learning. That's important. And then we can share with our children. You know, we share with them in the way that they can accept it, in the way that they will understand it, and the way that they will also be able to implement it. If one of those three criteria is not present, do not give the knowledge. So one must agree with it, one must understand, and one must be able, to implement the knowledge. If something's lacking, then the person is not appropriate for the knowledge like that. Maybe at a later date, inshallah. But with what you're doing now, this is important. Keeping the children together, they seem very happy here. They're exposed to being in a safe place and growing up. So may Allah increase them in knowledge and make them leaders of the family.
In your opinion, can Tassel be done or experienced without Tariqa?
No. You have another question with that?
No.
Okay, sorry.
If there's another question, can you ask it, of course?
Any other questions?
You mentioned like just the names that things have been given and or you know, I guess different aspects of the deen and like the soul and I guess something maybe misconception or you know a stereotype. I remember I was in an environment where there was a book, and in the book it was like you know, if you say this many times, or you know, if you recite this, you know, this time of day, then this will happen. And I remember you know, one of the brothers saying, you know, that's kind of like a mystic, you know, like the mystics, and you find a lot of this, you know, in you know, like the Sufis, you know, Sufis, and
Yes.
you know, that's kind of something that I guess like stuck with me when you know I heard you know like you know Sufi, you know, mystic, you know, I guess. I mean, maybe clarify. You know, give me some help on that.
What greater mystic is
Right.
there than Rasulullah?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. You remember it was said, you know, to Abu Bakr Siddiq, do you hear what your companion is saying? He said that he left Mecca, went to Jerusalem, and there to the heavens is Miraj. Did you hear me? If he said that, then I accept it. That is the greatest mystical experience that any human being, any prophet has ever experienced. Even his brother, Nabi Musa, he didn't have that. He was Kalamullah. He was speaking. He was interacting. He said, but I want to see you, Ya Rab. I want to see you. I'm going to show myself to tell you to this man. If you remain standing, then you will see me. You know what happened. So he fell in the swoon. So Rasulullah that great miracle here and then vertical straight, where it is said that he exchanged 90,000 words with his Rav. 30,000 he gave freely to all the ashab. 30,000 he shared with a special group of ashab. And the last 30,000 he kept between himself and his Rav. So, I mean, if that's not mystical.
Even with things like rukia and using the Quran as healing, reciting, kind of, and I mean, I know it's all a part, because it's there,
Right.
it's,
What's your question about it?
I guess the question, I mean, it's something like sometimes it's like you want to debunk certain I guess stereotype, different things. That's I think what I'm trying to achieve. You know what I mean? It's like to kind of.
How does your heart feel right now?
My heart has always felt that there's a division in in Islam that exists that is unnecessary. You know what I mean? Because it's almost like when you give like names and annotations and certain things, and it's almost like people kind of
If you see the division,
Right.
the division is in yourself.
It's like I'll use Camden here as an example, and there's a masjid down the street that they have whatever it is that they have to say, because they feel as though there's things that go on and they're, I mean, wrong in my opinion, but it exists. You know what I mean?
Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam knew that this was going to happen. He said, near the end of times, there will be so many Muslims, so many. However, we will be like straw on the water, and straw does not come together. It was already predicted. So what we can try to do is find unity, wahda, or tawheed, in small places like this. Even if we get 2 or 3, this is unity here. So it may not happen on the greater scale. So we also have to realize that when we see things outside, it exists. If we can identify it out there, it's already inside. We're cross-eyed. We see 2. We see double. One time there was a student, he had a chef, and he was very comfortable. He served the chef tea. He spent plenty of time with the chef in his home. The chef said, "Can you go to the cabinet and get my favorite cup?" And he goes in. This is my chef. He was cross-eyed too. So he said, "My chef, I see 2. I see 2 cups." He said, "Break one and bring the one that remains." That's how we are. We're cross-eyed. We see difference. We see Ahlul Sunnah wa Jama'ah. We see Salafi wa Hadiyya. We see Tasawwuf and Sunnahiyya. Where we think they're all different. You know what I mean? That's our problem. You know what I mean? This is the problem. Shaitan, li'anullah, whispers to the one that he can, and we see division, and we find fault. We find flaw. Let me share a story with you. One of my favorite is that this was an actual saint and Sufi from Istanbul. His name is Muslihuddin. He developed the name Marquez Effendi. He was in a gathering like this. He was a young person. So he may have been like this guy here, younger than some of the older folks. And the chef would show him so much favor and loved him so much. And everyone they saw, they're like, he's new. We've been here 30 years, 25 years. Why? And the chef perceived that with his basira. Because Allah also says on the tongue of the Prophet, he says, beware of the insight, the farasa of the movement. For he sees with the light of Allah. So this could happen. So the chef had basira and knew what they were thinking about this young student. So he said, I'm going to ask you a question, a hypothetical question. If you had the power to change anything in the world, what would you do? Allah gave you, loaned you the qayyumiyya to manage all of that. What would you do? One said, I would eradicate, poverty and homelessness. And I would make everything, nice and clean. Everyone said, I would take care of global warming, et cetera, et cetera. Everybody had some great things that they would do. Then it came to the one that he said, my son, the question applies to you. What would you do? He said, my Effendi, my chef, I would not change anything. I see no flaw in the creation of Allah. It's perfect as it is. So this is how the true abd. Allah is managing. He's not absent. Astaghfirullah. He's not asleep at the wheel. I'll do that. He's managing all things. We are not submitting. We keep thinking that we have is our will. It's his Mashiach. He's managing it. Our job is to submit. That's what God does. It's the people, it's us. It's us. We have not surrendered yet. We're still trying to convince ourselves. We're still trying to convince. Time is short. There was a gathering like this, and the angel of death came, and Rasulullah was informed, and he shared with Rasulullah that someone in the gathering had 1 hour left. So he leaves. Most of the people leave. Rasulullah shares with him who that person was. And he said, you have 1 hour to live in this dunya, and the angel of death will be back to take your soul. Ya Rasulullah, what should I do with this 1 hour? He said, learn. Continue to learn. 1 hour. He didn't say, go get all your stuff, get your family. Learn. Learn. But that brings us to another place. Learn what? Learn what? What is the ilm that we need that's required? Of course, we have to know the basics of the deen. Every mukallaf person has to know these things. But after that, after all the 5 pillars, those are the basics. That's the basics. We haven't even really started yet. So we think that we're making salat, we're doing it for. It's not moved by it. We're giving zakat. We're fasting. We're doing him a favor. None of that. None of that. So it is, mashallah. How's the heart now?
It's all right, I guess. It's all right.
Well, it's that piece of flesh. If it's right, the whole body is right. So we're trying to get to that Qalbun Salim. That's what we're trying to really get our heart corrected, get it straight. So that it again, we're not crying when we hear the words of Allah. We're not crying when we hear Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam's words. And my chef, Rahimahullah, used to say that we should cry because we're not crying. We should cry because, and even then, it is permissible to listen. You fake crying, make your imitation real. That's a dua. Oh Allah, make my imitation real. So what? It is permissible to seek wajh Allah. So inshallah, we're all on this path together. We're on the map. We're following the map. We're all going to Allah. And the people that have the duty, that Allah gave the duty to, He comes and says, who's going to Allah? I'm going this way. Who's going? You're going? Come with me. You're going? Let's go. We're walking the same way. This is what the Mashiach do. They are inheritors of Rasulullah. They are here so that this nur can continually flow. It's a living sunnah. It's not something 1,500 years ago. It's still living. He said to his companions, "Oh, how I long for that friend of mine." They thought he was talking about Sayyidina Jibril. He said, "Ya Rasulullah, are we not your friends? You are my ashab. That friend of mine will come 1,500 years later, and that friend will love me just as much as you, or even more, even though he hasn't seen you. Inshallah, we're candidates to become that friend." with candidates. We do that. We have every time today sending salawat upon him. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. He receives it. He knows who you are. He knows each one of this ummah by name. Just like a shepherd knows every one of his flock. He's not, Allah gave him that. Allah gave him that. So when there's no sheikh, those who know say, salawat and istighfar are the shuyukh when there's no sheikh present. So that's until you find someone that you can take the hand of. Inshallah. Obey Allah and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and those in authority. And those in authority. So, obeying the Prophet is obeying Allah. Loving the Prophet is loving Allah. Ati Allah wa ati Rasul. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, brother. How are you? Any more questions?
Any more questions?
Is that? Yeah.
Are we gonna play Isha?
Of course.
Yeah, inshallah.
Of course.
Good question.
Yes. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. صلاة تنجينا بها من جميع الأقوال والآفات وتحليلنا بها من جميع الحاجات وتطهرنا بها من جميع السيئات وترفعنا بها على درجات وتبلغنا بها أقصى الغايات من جميع الخيرات فهيا بعد الممات. آمين. السلام عليكم.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.